on the cloud. All right, we are back. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. It's Trevor Sharuka again from Smashing Pixels and the Level Up Academy. Hey, we're still in this thing together, and we're still rocking and rolling and trying to get out of it. One of the things that I've noticed with a lot of my friends who are in the conference space, they're all trying to convert, either to postpone, to convert, to go online. They're not sure what to do. I reached out to a good friend of mine who has had a lot of success, who years ago moved from the in real life space to the online space and gathering crowds and bringing it in, and had great success. And I thought I'd bring him on today to talk to everyone, to educate us, and also give us some great ideas as to if you were planning on putting together an event, a conference, something that gathered, but obviously now you can't. It's not all lost. It's not out the window. There are a lot of things that we can do and that you can do to help save your brand, save your name, save your audience. Just want to bring in Jonny Andrews and have him introduce himself and let you guys know who he is, and then we'll get rocking and rolling. Jonny, why don't you tell everyone who you are and what you've been up to?
Well, thank you so much. That's yeah. There's going to be some folks. I think can definitely help out with these shenanigans here. So yeah, I'm Jonny Andrews. I have been running businesses and whatnot for close to 20 years. Been in the online space almost exclusively for 15. Investor, entrepreneur, those kinds of fun things. And yeah, to specifically talk about, this whole event kind of thing. So speakers, authors, coaches, people that make a living, getting in rooms filled with hot, sweating bodies and delivering the message. That's a kind of a problem right now. And obviously that people are going to get back to that. But the thing to remember is this is not going to ever go away. Like, our world is forever going to be changed by this particular situation. And it's going to be, so what I want to speak to in this is, first of all, that mindset. And second of all, what to do about the current situation. Because if that's your livelihood, and if you make your living speaking, or, that is an element of your income, what I want to sort of impart to you is the mindset that can take this kind of situation and turn it not just into a survival mechanism, but how you can actually thrive and take market share, because that's the move right now. It's very similar to what's happened with every recession or depression that's happened in history. Is that those even, and this is not one of those things where it's like, okay, you need $1 billion to survive it. You need a mindset to be able to survive it, because of how effectively you can deploy what we'll talk about and that kind of thing. So anyway, was that what you were looking for? I didn't really come with a set thing of pander.
It's the rawness of the interviews that people love and that I love. So, well, let's start with mindset, because you were just talking about it. So it's the fight or flight thing in our brain, that little lizard brain in the back of our head that either says, no, we know what to do, or we're running back to Saskatoon, as the song would go. And that's, we're talking to people who want to fight. And that some of them might have had that flight part of it, but they want to fight. They realize that, hey, I'm coming out of it. This is the new normal. I guess that's the term everyone's using. What are a couple first steps that you should do, or that you could encourage people to do if they're used to whether they're used to talking in front of people, and now they found out that every speaking engagement from now till the end of the year has been canceled, so now they've lost an audience? Or two, if you're that person that had an in real life event that you're like, you have that holy crap moment, they keep pushing that 30-day thing out, my event's coming up, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, I don't know what to do. So let's start with the individual who just lost speaking opportunities, and then kind of segue into the event promoter.
Cool. All right. Well, it's actually the same for everybody. The mindset that I want everyone to sort of adopt here is that the act of speaking in public is not a thing. It's a delivery mechanism. It's not an end result. If you what you want to do is pull back for a second, and a lot of people confuse the ends with the means kind of thing, where it's like, okay, my job is to provide for my family and to do a thing, and the vehicle of that just happens to be speaking in rooms, right? So let's kind of break that down for a second. Say, what is it? Okay, you are there in a space with people delivering a message. If this was a cake, those would be the ingredients. I think I'm getting this here?
I'm following you.
Okay, cool. So what you have to do is say, okay, well, we're going to need to make a different kind of cake. Maybe this one's a flourless cake. right? And so in that case, you're going to, whoop, hey, look at that, no more flour. Crap, what do I do? Well, if you look at the end result of having a cake, and in this kind of situation, the cake is having an income. The reality is it comes down to the concept of audience. And so when you realize that it's all about the audience, it's all about the engagement and the interaction of you with them, kind of thing. So now what you start to see is, oh, wait a minute. If we eliminate the physical, nothing changes. All right. Absolutely nothing has changed in that regard because it's you delivering a message to a group of people. Does it matter if they're all in the same room? The answer is no. And so obviously, and so I like to kind of use that kind of methodology whenever coming in contact with a situation like this that is completely, that on the surface, this whole situation appears to be totally out of control. You know, nobody knows anything. There's tons of fear. There's tons of like, you know, all those things. But in the reality, you're in complete control. And all it takes is a shift of mindset to look at a different set of questions to get you to your outcome. So, you know, if you had all these things booked, you know, okay, great. Your conventional delivery mechanism, your traditional bicycle or whatever it is, might have, the tires might be popped and the chain broke, but waiting next to you is a Ferrari with the keys in it that's idling and just waiting for you to go, you know what, I never liked this stupid Huffy anyway. Throw your bike in the ditch, get in the Ferrari, and let's go. Because what now you have the ability to do is to build that audience, because your ability to command speaking fees, and like I said, you know, at the beginning, this is not just a survival mechanism, but this is a thrive mechanism. Your ability to command speaking fees, and so if you know a portion of, or maybe the lion's share or all of your income is associated with these, you know, being paid to speak or selling things while you're there, or whatever the situation is, it all comes down to audience. And audience is attainable. Audience is attainable now more than ever because everybody is home. And if I'm any example, we're all bored out of our damn minds. Like I've digested so many audiobooks, it's ridiculous at this point. Like I'll even be doing work and listening to, you know, 11 things at once, I feel like. But people are looking for a distraction, and they're actively looking for leadership right now in this kind of situation. And it's your opportunity, regardless of what market you're in, regardless of what you're speaking to be that leader, to be that voice of sanity and reason that everyone's very much looking for. Is that making sense?
Yeah, totally making sense. You know, with I think everyone is looking for a leader. As humans, we like to be led, so that's a great thing. And two, I think we are. You said bored out of your minds. I know the feeling. We are starving for information. We are used to working and crushing 60 hours a week, pulling information in, and now we're at home, or even if we're at the office, we're not putting in that. Let's face it, no one's putting in that same 60-hour week anymore. You're gap filling. And so you're starving for information. I actually have been running a test. Last night, I had my family, we've been doing some puzzles. And I thought, you know what, let me just see how many people can actually watch us just put together a puzzle. And it was like, what can I do that really has no interest to anyone? So I set up my computer, I aimed it. My wife does not like being on the camera. So I aimed it really low. So it was a long view of the puzzle, so the end of it was wide, or the beginning was wide and the end was narrow. And in 12 hours, you know, 36 comments and 200 views so far on us putting together a puzzle. That just shows how starved the world is for entertainment. And not only that, and you could talk about this because I know I've heard you talk about it. Whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's TikTok, it doesn't matter. Those platforms need content creators. So let's shift into, okay, now that you're a speaker looking for that Ferrari, so you're a content creator. How exciting are you for the future, and how exciting should everybody else be if they can create content for the next, say, 6 months? What's the plateau, and what's the world look like for you?
Well, let me kind of start by putting all of that into a weaponized sort of system, because what I
Sure.
want to be able to do is kind of deliver a process behind how a person, who might need this information is going to be able to actually use it in their business to build that audience, then leverage that audience at a form of scale. So a couple of things to keep in mind right now. There was I can't remember what it was. It was an article. Don't remember. I apologize. It wasn't Forbes. It was Wired. No, not Wired. Something else like that. But a fairly credible magazine focusing on the tech business and stuff like that. And they were talking about how between Facebook and Google, they're set to lose about $44 billion because everyone's pulling out of the advertising game. And what I can tell you, because I have not, in fact, I've gone harder into it, really more so than ever, because if you want to, when's the best time to buy a stock?
When it's
When
down,
it's
yeah,
on sale.
yeah,
And for example, you look at a place like Disney, which typically trades at what, 230, 250 a year or per share, that dropped down to 60. Because they had to close their parks. I mean,
yep,
okay, it's if you look at that kind of situation, and there could be wild speculations. Well, they could collapse. It's like I highly doubt it, because they own the Marvel universe and all sorts of different things. And it's like worst case scenario, someone's going to swoop in and buy them. At which point it goes back up. So it's like coming to this with that sort of investor mindset is going to really set you up for a major win. So your ability right now to take advantage of the current market panic in advertising is freaking stunning. And I know that money is very tight for a lot of people, and in the United States and things like that, the SBA has been doing pretty well, making some inroads. And watched the stuff last night. They're talking about going and getting even more money, which I called that the minute they said they were doing it the first time. Is yeah, this will be one of many, because $2 trillion is really nothing in the grand scheme of things. But there is a lot available right now to be able to get it in terms of forgivable whatever kinds of situations. So to be able to keep your business afloat, absolutely, governments are stepping in. It's wonderful. But then also to strategically start planning, because the people who win are those who push forward right now. That get over whatever kind of fear or sensation of scarcity or whatever that is, and start to build that audience. Now, the audience I'm talking about are going to be people who are watching your content. So you can build that pixel audience, reading your posts, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, there's so much that you could be putting out there. Use your Google Pixel, use your Facebook Pixel. If you don't know how to use that, go to YouTube and say, how do I install my Facebook Pixel? What is my,
yeah,
seriously, I'm not going to get into
yeah,
those kind of nitty gritty, because there's a billion videos, how do I install my Facebook Pixel in 2020? Oh, look, there it is,
yeah.
kind of thing. So the how-to knowledge is already there. What is not there is the kind of strategy, you have everything here, but how do you stitch it together?
Right.
And so that's kind of what I'm hoping to deliver. So what you're going to be able to do, and what we were talking about just beforehand, is that, for example, if you want to even further reduce costs, you can stop, say, advertising globally and shrink nationally, and then take it a step further and shrink it down even to a geographic area. Like I'm in the Chicagoland area, and the tri-states around here, like I was telling you, there's multi-billions of business just hanging out waiting for that. There's so many business owners and stuff like that, and the kinds of things that I know how to do are very beneficial, and especially always, I like to think always, but especially right now, where it's like, okay, what do you do? How do you pivot? How do you shift? What do you do? Where do you go? And so if you're in a situation to be speaking, you're speaking to an audience. What is the asset that you need? Oh, I need an audience. So how are you going to go get that audience? Well, demonstrate what must be true in order for them to want to do business with you. And I do a webinar. It's been about 2 weeks though, since I did the last one, but I try to do it at least 2 or 3 times a month, where I go through all the statistics about all this kind of stuff. And right now is absolutely the time to be delivering really helpful information to whoever it is that you speak to, and bring them unto you. So within this time period, for very little money, I think I've spent about 5,000. Let me take a quick look at this. It's the numbers on what that would look like. Divided by, so it's costing me to build my audience. It's costing me 1.5 cents per person right now.
Cheap as chips.
Right. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. Yeah. 1.5 cents to build an audience of people that have seen me, that I can then follow up with and stuff like that, because that's how you do this, is you do these tip of the spear, like 1-minute videos, blog posts, whatever it is, and you bring them in, you run those as ads, build that pixel data, and then retarget that pixel data with more stuff and more stuff and more stuff, because people buy from those that they know, like, and trust. And what are you manufacturing? You're manufacturing familiarity, which leads to acceptance, which leads to trust, that kind of stuff. For example, if the government wants to get the population to believe a story, they start out by just saying it. Then everyone goes, what? That's crap. But the more they say it, the more people believe it, kind of thing. And trust works the same way, where the more consistently you show up in front of people, the more you're going to, they're going to start to, oh, okay. It's like a direct mail campaign. You don't just mail once, you do it in a sequence, because frequency breeds familiarity. Familiarity breeds almost expectations, I guess you could say. And that's where the trust comes from. And then if you're really delivering good info for them, they're gonna be like, oh, wow. And I'm not saying to sell anything right now at all. Like, I get it. They're very, a lot of buying has kind of ground to a halt. There's certain verticals that are blowing up. But yeah, in this particular situation, your ability to build an audience is going to be insane. So email, pixel, SMS, wherever you can get a group of people where you can then get them again, that's what you need to be doing. So,
well, we're throwing it old school with the old KLT formula there, and what a better time than now than to work that formula and to really go for that know, like, and that trust.
Absolutely, go be that leader, go be that voice to your audience, and go get more of them.
Yep. Now there's a lot of people that are out there who, like you and like myself, we're marketers. We know how to get in front of people and do it. But let's talk to the guy who might not be a marketer, might not be familiar with things. So I'm just going to throw out, because I know you like the rapid fire stuff. Let's throw out the roofer that's been told that construction's on halt, the landscaper, and I don't know what's a roofer, landscaper, and
well, I know why don't we even talk about the restaurant market, because it's so decimated right now.
Okay, so I know restaurants are trying to survive with the curbside pickup, which is kind of just paying the rent. But so let's talk. Let's do those three rapid fire kind of things that they can do to get out in front of people, just so that people can see that you don't have to be a marketer to turn on a camera. Right. And your camera can be, I don't have my phone in front of me, but it can be your phone. You just put your phone out and you turn it on and you start doing that. So let's start with the restaurant market.
Yeah, well, I can give you some real numbers from restaurant style stuff, because my wife and her friend started they have I guess you could call it a charcuterie business, where they would go in, and I put these in the presentation, but their main thing were doing just elaborate culinary, just artistic things of meats and cheeses and fruits and all this kind of stuff. And they would do it either on, a big board, or they would do it on like just a table or a counter in a person's home. And they were doing, $5,000 to $7,000 a month. It was fine. It was just a little thing, because, my wife does way, way, way bigger stuff. So this was just a way for her to kind of express herself creatively. Well, obviously, then the shelter-in-place order hits, and boom, it all drops to zero, because nobody's having big gatherings anymore. No one's going out, that kind of thing. And so I think, we talked, kind of all rallied and looked at what could be done, and, asked some very specific questions, and completely on her own, she just came up with, well, what if I do boxes, with delivery? And within the first 6 days, I think they've already done, it's been about 9-10, is it 2 weeks now? Maybe two, it hasn't been a full month. They've already done almost $20,000 in business. So they went from 5 to 7 a month to almost 20,000 because of the problem. And their advertising is very local. They're doing the same thing I was talking about, where they were just 15-mile radius, $1 a day, promote, one thing, build the audience, retarget, and then just have an impeccable product to deliver it. And so, yeah, so I mean, very rapidly it was super, it got insane. And then we just had the Easter weekend, which was crazy. I think their biggest day was 15 boxes. And then over Easter weekend, it jumped to 94. And what's happening right now is not only did they expand their business, because obviously they're doing it in their commercial kitchen, their license, they've got all the safety stuff and things like that. But what they've been able to accomplish by changing their mindset about these things and changing the deliverable a little bit is that they've been able to take mind share from the market. And so their big goal is to get into corporate events, which right now are not a thing. However, the people who are buying these are realtors, they're mortgage brokers, they're people that work, there's an employer around where I am called AbbVie Labs. It's a big biotech company. And so when they're going back into the office, when they're doing big meetings, who do you think they're going to call to cater that? So she's taken that business, and there is no reason at all why any restaurant could not come up with that exact same thing. Take your regular menu or make something fun with it and talk and do the delivery. Because all the rest of, Uber Eats is cooking along. All the restaurants have the ability to be, necessary businesses or vital or whatever word they're using, kind of thing. I mean, food delivery is huge right now. It's
essential business.
That's the word. Yes.
Well, and it goes back to what you started about with mindshare. A lot of people are stuck in the way of saying, well, we can only do it how we've envisioned it the first time to do it, because they're too afraid to pivot. And right. And I think by being afraid to pivot means that you're stuck in your ways. And I mean, for your wife to be able to explode like that is fantastic. And the other thing too is, as humans, we still want the experience. People still want to eat food off of I never understood if it's charcuterie, as we would say it up here in Canada.
I don't know.
Charcuterie.
Yeah.
But people still want that experience of sitting down. When you go to a nice little dinner table and it's set up for you, or a nice little friend's house and it's set up, it's that experience of being with friends. But you see that. So people still want the experience of dining out, eating out, but they have to do it in the confines of their, 2,000 square foot house or 2,500 square foot house. And that, so the experience is still there.
Give me 1 minute. This is part of the thing, the whole sheltering in place. I now have a ruckus volume of children. Yeah. Hopefully you can edit this, but if not, no worries. I have to go address the small herd of cattle that has just come down. Give me 1 minute.
I will keep talking to the audience till you get back, Johnny. All right. So regardless of what your business is, there's always a way that you can think outside the box. As Johnny was just saying, taking mind share away from your competition. We talked about it the other day on positioning. You want to position yourself above your competition. Mind share, that's the same thing. What mind share is who's top of mind? Who am I thinking of when I want to call for a roofer, call a plumber, call an electrician, call a security guy, order a Christmas cake, get insurance, go for transportation to the airport, whatever it is. Who has that mind share? This is the time when you as a business have the most time that you've had before. If you're thinking, how do I pivot? How do I change? How do I stay relevant to my customers and my clients, and maybe not deliver the same portal that I've delivered before, but maybe it's a new portal that you're delivering on as well. So we now have Johnny back in the.
I've eaten them all. So speaking of food, they were delicious.
There you go. So we're just I was just talking to the audience on mindshare. Now, let's talk about non-traditional businesses. So it's hard to, so the roofer, because you're not going to climb up on your roof and the roofer can't do it. But I'm saying that what we've been sharing with people is be the helpful marketer. Share tips. share how to's, be that person. Everyone wants to find an expert online. When you're trying to find something, Jonny said it earlier, go to the old Google machine and type it in, how to fix a shingles that are missing on my shed, how to properly do this, how to properly do that. And they don't call their neighbor because nobody talks to their neighbor anymore. They go to the Google machine. So Jonny, non-traditional businesses that can't send something or send something out, what are a couple of things that you can think of, or that you maybe have seen that companies can do if you're in that non-traditional type? So you're in the trades. Let's talk to trades, because I know there's a lot of trade guys out there that are not sure what they're going to do.
Yeah, you're completely right. It's it's a shift from looking at, okay, how do I deliver this specific product? I mean, this might be a situation where you do need to rely on some sort of SBA forgivable loan or whatever it is to be able to float cash flow. I get that. I think that's a thing. So number one, stop the bleeding. So what I would do is look at, okay, what do you owe money on? Is it a house? Is it a car? Equipment, whatever that is, because the reality is, and this is sort of a double-edged sword, but everybody's in this together right now, right? The entire global economy has been disrupted, which shows you how interwoven we all are. And so the truth of the matter is, everybody's in this. If you owe money on a credit card, or you owe money on a mortgage, or whatever it is not especially when it's as widespread as this. If you're worried about, like, oh my God, I'm not going to make these payments, you need to be in communication with those banks and asking them how to put that off, how to stall that. That is the number one thing, is stop the bleeding, is figure out how you can reduce, and they will work with you. 100% will work with you on all of these things. They absolutely will, because they don't want to take the stuff. Here we go. Once again, the normalcy of the abnormalcy kicks in. Yep. But yeah, that's what you want to do first, is stop the bleeding. And then you want to look at, okay, I need money. I need money. Great. Look at SBA.
Yep.
That sort of stuff. What exactly, can be done here to get some sort of loan? I mean, from what I heard last night, it looks like within the next couple of days, those things are going to be going out. Self-employed is even going to start being addressed and stuff like that. So there is some possibility out there. And then once again, market share. How do you, when in the past, advertising has been prohibitively expensive. So you have to look at what the situation is. It's no longer prohibitively expensive, especially if you're in a non-traditional thing like a trade, where, once again, $1 a day. Yep. To be able to take that market share kind of stuff. And I can pretty much guarantee you that almost nobody in that sort of industry is doing this.
Well, our local radio station, half their ads are at the radio station doing ads for the radio station, saying things like, "Are you still open? Are you still in business? Call the station. Talk to one of our ad managers. See how we can help you out," because they need to fill time, just like everyone. Everyone needs content.
Well, they're looking at remainder time too, and so in that particular situation, where it is like the standard. I mean, think about how expensive it is to get prime time spots. I mean, right now, your negotiation power is damn near infinite. Where if you're like, hey, I want to get on terrestrial radio, I'll buy an ad spot, say at the 2 a.m. cost, or a remainder cost of what it might cost, what, $15 or something like that. And I want the add-on of being able to really talk to people and have an interview in the morning radio show. There, I can pretty much tell you, like, an ad dude is going to be like, okay.
Oh yeah, drive time radio spots, which are again the coveted your drive time, your weather spots, and all that. Yeah, you're picking those up. Like you said, that 2 a.m. rate is now the 6 o'clock drive home rate.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to kind of realize is, once again, we're all in this together. Things have changed, but in a lot of ways they've changed for the better from that perspective. So if you think about this, why not get in front of all your potential business. I mean, this is going to come to an end at some point.
Yep.
My theory is we're going to be waiting about 6 months. I have a feeling there's going to be some stops, some starts, with what they did with the 2 trillion, almost sort of, fueling the SBA, empowering banks, kind of stuff to lend this money out. That's one of several that's going to happen. There's probably going to be a reopening. There'll probably be a resurgence of the virus, at which point they're going to close it back down. I mean, just kind of look at human history to really predict this. It's like, I don't have a crystal ball, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like, this is probably 4 to 6 months worth of some healthy shenanigans. So we're in this for a minute. While we're here, let's figure out the new landscape. And this is the new landscape is one of, yes, definitely, stop the bleeding, get some money, whether that's a small business loan or whatever it needs to be. Of course, make sure to fix that. And then immediately on the heels of that, go get them, Tiger. Like, because this is like what we were talking about, where, if you're going to buy a stock, when's the best time? When they're on sale. I picked up some stuff. I'm not a stock guy at all, but I have a dude for that. But what I've educated myself on over the years, I picked some stuff up that normally trades around between $60 and $90. Got it for $4, and I'm like, I kind of have to.
Yeah, because you'd kick yourself if you didn't. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be. We've all lived through this, where we're that person that said, "I wish I would have."
I wish I hadn't listened. I'll tell you mine too. And this is the biggest one that sometimes makes me smart to this day. I had the opportunity to pick up Bitcoin at $10 a coin, and I was going to put about 10,000 into it. And for the one time I've ever done this, I don't know why I did it, but I listened to my accountant. That cost me somewhere in the neighborhood of $27 to $47 million.
Yeah.
Super pissed. So yeah, exactly. I literally said I will never do that again. And this is just that exact same situation repeating itself, where it's like, and in terms of the ability to come back from this 1,000 times stronger is, I mean, it's crazy big, but you have to shift that mindset.
Yeah. And then lastly, what I want to finish off with is there's a lot of people out there that are not used to being in front of other people so often. These are the people that send a newsletter once every 6 weeks because they don't want to bug people. They're afraid that that they might oversaturate, if I'll use that word, and people will start.
I know this person very well.
They'll be annoyed. What can you say to them on getting over the fear of you're never going to oversaturate anyone?
All right. So let me kind of give you a little context with one of my businesses. So I've worked with a lot of, let's call them authors. So one of my agencies has worked with over, I think it's 19,000 authors at this point, a lot of which are fiction. And you don't typically think of fiction authors as like, high-end business people who are really market savvy and all that kind of stuff. And the truth of the matter is that, and it's interesting because there's a counter argument to this, which is very valid, but unfortunately it's a matter of choice. If somebody wants to be, if you want to be messaging people, you cannot message enough. Will you get people who unsubscribe? Of course. But let's look at that. Let's kind of follow that psychology. So if you finally decide to say, listen, I want to be front of mind. I want people to remember who I am, and I want to make an impact in the market in whatever way you want to. There are just some realities you have to understand. Is number one, you can go to social. Let's talk delivery mechanisms. There's social media, there's email, there's SMS, and what else? I mean, radio, all the terrestrial stuff, print, radio, all that stuff. The reality of the situation is that you're getting in your own way if you believe that messaging too often is going to annoy people. Now, here's the caveat. Sending the same thing over and over and over again in tedium is ridiculous and dumb. That has validity. If you're only sending one email and it's the same email, then don't. But what you want to do is start looking at how you could build a conversation. out there, and what are the themes of that conversation? How can you use that to engage in a situation where the sale is sort of a natural outcome of that? That's really what you want to start thinking of. And a lot of people, well, I don't want to be a spammer. Great, then don't. All you have to do is stop sending the Viagra ads, okay? Yeah. It's a choice. This isn't like, oh, if I send an email about my business, I'm a spammer. That is no. The only way that's true is if you harvested your email address rather than having people subscribe to it of their own free will. That's really the difference. Yeah. Even with, what was that, the GDPR for Europe and things like it, people freaked out of these authors. I mean, literally meltdown city with all of this kind of stuff. And what ended up happening was, people were burning lists that they'd spent tens of thousands of dollars building because they didn't get it. I'm like,
we had Castle up here, Canadian anti-spam legislation, which again, everyone was like, now we got to get everyone to re-opt in. No, you don't. It's you have to understand what implied and express consent is. It means that if they've asked you for something or bought something from you, you can send them information.
If you told them what they were signing up for in the first place, send them in. In fact, here's the big caveat. If you don't message to them, you are a freaking thief and a liar, because you are betraying their trust by not communicating in the way that you said that you would. And also the other thing is, like, no successful business survives the owner's stupidity, mine included. No. Like, you've got to get out of your own head about what people like or dislike. And the other thing is, once you sort of come to grips with the reality that there's so much noise out there, that is the baseline. If you have not achieved the baseline level of communication, you're a hobbyist and you're not playing the game. For example, in the world of fiction, especially self-published, we work with hundreds of New York Times and USA Today bestsellers that are doing multiple 7 figures a year, and the vast majority of them are self-published to the tune of like 90%. So that's no longer a thing. People are like, oh, you just work with these silly little self-published authors. But like, really? Most of them could crush your income with their little pinky finger writing vampire fiction. But the thing to really take away from that is that the business world and these kinds of things, if you want to break into a new level, if you want to thrive in this kind of environment, you have to dispense with it. But I don't want to. It doesn't matter what you want. It's not about you. It's about the audience. You have to really start thinking differently. And anything that smells of timidness, if you're being timid, you're wrong. That's just how it works. You're just wrong. Like, what that opinion serves only to stop you from succeeding. Don't be timid. Like, you don't have to be as brash as me. Like, be yourself, but be yourself out there. Go forth and walk amongst your people. They're waiting for you. They're looking for you. They want to hear from you. They want your voice. And the thing is, are people going to unsubscribe? Yes. And let them leave. And here's why. Because the act of building the list, of building the audience, is only part of it. Once you have them in this sphere of influence, your only job is to separate the wheat from the chaff. And you want to separate the people who are going to celebrate your success and your good decision to message more often versus those who will not. And that's really what it comes down to in a lot of circles, not always, but in a lot of circles, and especially and with a lot of the author community, because there's a lot of very timid authors out there. It's kind of something that comes with the industry. But I hear it a lot. It's like, well, somebody emailed me and said that they didn't like that I had, like, really? Okay. But then they'd seen their income grow by 30, 40, 50%. I'm like, okay, so you just boosted your income by, let's say, 25%, and you're going to listen to that one yak head who doesn't like it. Like, that person is begrudging you your new success. Bye. Yeah. So you just have to shift your thinking.
Yeah, and I think people have to realize too, that person who is never going to support you, never going to give you any money, if you're still advertising in front of them or sending them emails, it costs you money. it costs you money. So allow them to back out. There's nothing wrong. It's the same as if you had a store and someone walked in and said, oh, not the store I wanted to be in. Let me walk out. Great, because you're just going to kill time on that person who is maybe accidentally on that list of yours. So very, very sage words. I run into that same person that all the time. That's like, I don't want to email them. I don't want to send them out a message. Or, hey, I got a nasty email from one person out of 700 on my list that told me to stop sending them. It's like, we got to stop worrying about the 1%ers, and we have to celebrate that the 99%ers that continue to like our stuff, comment, share, forward, all the other stuff. Give us money. They give us money.
100%,
Celebrate those people. So, Jonny, hey, listen, it has been fantastic having you on, sharing your knowledge and going over everything that you have shared. There's lots of stuff that are in here that people will be digesting. If somebody wanted to follow you, get in touch with you, or just watch your feed on a daily basis, how do they watch you? How do they connect with you?
Well, I was opening this up just sort of as a gentle thrust into the personal brand when all of this happened, and I'm like, it's fun. I might as well hang out here. But you can go to scaleyourhustle.com, and then I tend to put out a fairly extensive amount of content, both video and written, and various audios and stuff like that through that particular thing. And then if you want to check out the virtual event company and things, you can totally do that too. But I think the big thing to remember is go build your audience, and also the one thing I think I might've forgotten to say is the larger and more engaged your audience, the more money you're going to command, and buy it while it's cheap.
Oh, let's end on there, because I can't see a better way to end. Buy while it's cheap. Double down. We liked it when it was up here. We love it when it's down there. Again, thanks a lot, everyone. Tune in tomorrow for more informative podcasts, and have yourselves a great week.